Alright, so the code here that we're looking at for DrawLine, the first thing we need to understand is that, and what we're looking at here is y equals 3x minus 2. That's the line. But if you put any x value into this equation, you will get the y value that's on this line. So, and I'll just show you a few first. So if I put in x equals 2, it would be y equals 3 times 2 minus 2, which is y equals 4. And so that would be 2, 4. There's our point. Okay. I could also put in y equals negative 3, or x equals negative 3. Okay. And at x equals negative 3, it's actually off the line here, but y equals negative 9 minus 2. Y is equal to negative 11. But at negative 3, negative 11, that also looks right. So but the thing to understand is there's actually an infinite number of points, right? Because what if I did x equals 0.01? Well, 0.01 is going to be really close to 0, but the y value is 3 times 0.01 minus 2. That's 0.03. That is y equals negative 1.97. Okay. So when x is 0.01, really close to the origin there, the y is close to negative 2. It's negative 1.97. That point also lies on the origin. So what do we do with that? So what we want to do is, so the x min in this problem, or for my graph right now, is negative 10. That's the lowest x value on the graph. And the x max is positive 10. So from this example. So what I want to do is I'm going to use a loop to slightly increment an x value from the x min to the x max. But I'm only going to add a very small amount every time. Something like 0.001, or maybe even something even smaller than that. Okay, so every time we're going to add that value to x, we're going to get the corresponding y value based on multiplying it by the slope and adding the y-intercept. And then we're going to draw that point. Okay, so the first time we would start for this example is x min would be negative 10, or the x value that we're talking about is at negative 10. The next iteration, it would be negative 9.999. Then I would draw the point there. And then the next iteration would be negative 9.998. And I would draw the point there. Okay, so the way this looks is, for let I equals x min. So I'm going to start I, which is just my x value that's going to iterate through this graph. I'm going to start it at x min as long as I is less than or equal to x max. And then this right here is how I'm going to add a small value to I. I'm going to assign I to be whatever I was before plus 0.001 and assign it back to I. Okay, so I is essentially my x coordinate. I'm going to draw a point I, and then to get the y coordinate, just like we did with those 4 points up there, 3 or 4 points up there, we're going to take the slope, multiply it by I, and add the y-intercept. Okay, so that will draw the point at the current x and the current y for a lot of points, right? If x min is negative 10 and x max is 10, that's a difference of 20. But for every unit, we're putting like 1,000 points in there, so we're really drawing like 20,000 points. But when we look at it, it just looks like a solid line. Okay, so that's the code that you'll need for DrawLine.